fitness trackers and audio equipment. They have an extensive collection of gear, and you can check them out at lumoid.com/photorectv. And by viewers like you. Visit photorec.tv/support to learn how you can support this show and join our community of photographers. This week's episode is brought to you by Lumoid. Lumoid is a try-before-you-buy service for all sorts of consumer electronics. From camera gear and drones to fitness trackers and audio equipment, they have an extensive collection of gear, and you can check them out at lumoid.com/photorectv. And by viewers like you. Visit photorec.tv/support to learn how you can support this show and join our community of photographers. This week's episode is brought to you.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Photo Mishmash. I'm Christina.
And I'm Toby.
And this is episode 83. Welcome back everyone. Where did Toby go?
I went to grab Bean. This is that weekly news show where we mash everything, all things photography, up into a ball.
Yeah.
And give it to you all. I'm Toby, photographer and educator.
And I'm Christina. I'm a full-time wedding photographer. And as he said, each week we bring you the week's photography news, informative discussions, Instagram challenges, and we answer your questions live. So if you're watching right now and you're in the chat, post your questions. We'll add them to the queue and try to get to as many of them as we can. And this week, we have a huge announcement.
We do have a huge announcement. You have to wait for it a little bit because, you know, that's how huge announcements work. We're not going to give it to you right away. But we do have some other huge news to talk about, like the Nikon D500. On paper, that camera looks like a beast. How does it stack up against the 7D Mark II? We have some thoughts about that. We're also going to be talking about, what else? A traffic camera that is a fantastic wildlife photographer, and a bunch of other awesome news stories. All of the show notes and gear on the table, everything we're going to be talking about is linked right down below this video in the show notes.
Yep.
Check it out.
And we don't want to keep you waiting any longer, so we're just going to get right to it. So in case you missed it this past week, there was no show. We were in Yosemite with MKII Photography Academy.
I got you all a postcard. Right there.
Yes.
Okay. Of Ansel Adams on top of a station wagon photographing in Yosemite National Park.
Very cool.
So,
yeah, we had an amazing time as usual, as we do with MKII Photography Academy. Really enjoyed meeting all of the participants. There were people that actually came because of us. They found out about Yosemite trip through us, and they came and we met them, and they're awesome. And yeah.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
There'll be a vlog out soon. As I teased on Twitter, I shot over 100 gigabytes of footage between the GH4, the Sony, the LG V10, the Nexus 6P, and that's a lot to sift through and bring you the best of that trip, but you'll get to see it very soon.
Yes.
Along with, in case you missed it,
well, our friend David McKay, speaking of MKII Photography Academy, he recently released a brand new photography book for beginners. It's amazing. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Photography Demystified, Your Guide to Gaining Creative Control and Taking Amazing Photographs. Toby wrote the foreword for it. We were there as he was putting the final touches and sending it to the editor and everything. It was really cool to watch the whole process.
Right. We'll be talking more about him, some tips for beginners. But I mean, he has been a photographer now for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
A master photographer, PPA certified for a huge part of that time as well. And not only that, but he is a teacher. We watch him on these trips, helping people to learn how to take better photos. And he's poured all of that into this book. It is fantastic. It's only $1.99. That's a special price. It is going to go up, I think, next Monday. So buy it, read it, get his vision in your brain, and be on the way to taking better photos.
Yep, exactly.
And until there's some like download process where you can just take someone's brain and put it inside your brain, this book is the best option for you.
Yeah. We also had an Olympus Air review out to you. We both really love the Olympus Air. We used it a lot in Yosemite, and definitely encourage you to go check it out.
I feel like we haven't taken a breath yet. Is there a reason?
Because we have a big announcement, and we need to get to it.
Well, we will. But, you know, Olympus Air review went out last week. I'm showing you the contents of this little Peak Design field pouch because it holds the Olympus Air along with 3 other lenses. There is certainly a gimmick factor to this, but again, I was reminded in walking around in Yosemite National Park with the Sony in one hand, having this bag with all of these different lenses, including a fisheye in there, was really nice because it was just on my hip, easily accessible for different styles of shots. Or when I needed to hand you the Sony for recording, I still had a camera with me, and it all fit right in here. So we really like it. Been impressed with it. It's not for everybody. If you don't have micro four third lenses already, then it might feel more gimmicky. But if you've got micro four third lenses already or adapters that allow you to use lenses, I think it's a no-brainer at its current price. It is cheaper than the DxO1, which we also brought with us some. And at one point you're like, how do I charge this? And I reminded you that you needed to find an Android cable to charge it, even though you're an iOS user.
I am not a fan of the DxO1, I will say that. I did enjoy using the Olympus Air though, and I saw somebody in the chat ask what that is, and it is an attachment for your mobile phone that basically gives your phone an external sensor, a micro four thirds sensor, so you can take really high quality pictures and transfer them to your phone instantly for sharing and storing and editing and whatever. So you can also put different lenses on it, which is really nice, which you cannot do with the DxO1. And it's compatible with just about any phone,
right.
Android and iPhone. So
I definitely... Windows. What about Windows users, Christina?
Because I don't know. I'm not trying to be...
No, come on. Every once in a while, I'll do some post that has to do with Android and iOS, and somebody's like, what about Windows users? What do you mean? Come on, Microsoft has completely abandoned that. That's not true. They haven't completely abandoned it. I just made some people mad. But their market share is so ridiculously small, you can't expect these manufacturers to be coming out with apps for all of these other people.
Yeah. Somebody just asked if the big announcement has been announced yet, and it has not. So stick around. We're going to announce it later in the show. So yeah, okay, well that was a week in review.
That's right. John said all 17 Windows users are left out.
Gear on the table. And let's talk about our sponsor for today.
Let's talk about Lumoid a little bit, because I was reminded on this Yosemite trip how often when you go on very special photography trips like this, you might not have the gear that you feel like you want to take along, and you might not have the budget to buy a piece of gear to go on a trip. Especially, some of these trips, they cost money. But they are a great way to spend your money as opposed to gear. But going to some place like Lumoid, which has a ton of stuff you can try, is a great way to bring with you on trips gear that you wouldn't otherwise have. Maybe you want to bring along that fantastic 100 to 400. And yes, some people did, because again, I think a lot of people think landscapes, they think wide angle. No, David, I'm not picking just on you, and I know you've done a good job of clarifying on that trip, not just wide angle shooters. But that zoom lens is a fantastic lens in Yosemite National Park for really pulling some of this majestic stuff much closer, compressing the foreground and the background, and really giving you a sense of being right there in it. Or maybe you've heard all this hubbub about mirrorless cameras, and you want to try the new Sony a7R Mark II. Well, Lumoid has that. They have all of this stuff available for you to rent. It comes in a nice little package to you. This is what I love about Lumoid. They present it in this nice little package with colorful wrapping, and it's ready to go. And you think, well, that still costs money. You're talking about weighing the money. But the nice thing about Lumoid is you earn credits towards purchasing these things later on. So let's say you rent the Sony Alpha A7R Mark II for a week. And when you send it back, you think, I might want to buy that. And you happen to rent a couple other things and you earn this credit, and by the time you go and say, hey Lumoid, how much is that A7R Mark II? I do want to buy it. It works out to be a financial success for you. Yeah. So not only do they have the mirrorless gear and the longer lenses, but they've also got what I think is really cool, especially as we're at the beginning of the year. A lot of people doing resolutions of, I'm going to get in shape this year, I'm going to count my steps, I'm going to keep track of all that stuff. They've got all their wearable gear as well. So you can try out, is a Fitbit best for you? Is the Nike Fuel Band best for you? Is the Garmin Forerunner? Don't know. There's so many of them. Strap them all to your wrist.
All at the same time. That
all at the
really
same time.
Cool.
Go for a run, or a walk. When you come back, which one do you like best? You can keep it, send the rest of the sweaty ones back, and you're all set. It's pretty slick. They've got the speaker system as well. They've got audio gear. And is it under the photo and video? Yes, they've got drones. Speaking of drones, we've got a drone bag too. But they've got big drones that carry cameras. They've also got some fun toys. Again, we're in this age of overwhelming number of gadgets. Lumoid is a way to try these gadgets out before you buy them, whether it is photo gear, fitness gear, drones, speakers. They've got it all. Check them out at lumoid.com/photorectv. And we thank them for their support.
Yeah, and stick around to the very end of the show where Toby will attempt to fly the new drone and try to prevent me from flying it because he thinks that I break it.
You're a drone Jonah. That's what you are. That's all I'm going to say. And a huge thank you to Don D. I don't know if you want your last name said, Don, who wrote me right before we left for Yosemite and said, you know that drone that you have that doesn't work anymore? I've got an extra one laying around. I'm not using it anymore. Would you like to try it out? So, Don, you're awesome. Thank you so much. And it works very nicely, except for the heart attack Christina gave me when she flew it for a few minutes, and then it didn't work after that. But we got it working again. All right?
All right.
Drone Jonah.
What else do we have on the table?
We're talking about other gear on the table. Well, this will be out very soon. We use this a bunch in Yosemite. This is the Syrup Mini Genie. It is that motion-controlled time-lapse or video-lapse device. Pretty darn impressed with it. Didn't watch the video manuals online until we were on our way back, and that would have been a little helpful because there was a couple things I couldn't figure out. But very nice. Has some nice, I want to say dynamicism to your time lapse, but really I should just be simple and call it motion. Add some nice motion to your time lapses.
And video.
And video, yes, that's important. I have tried a lot of different cell phone holders over the past year or so. This Mi Photo is the king. This is the Mi Photo Sidekick 360 Plus. This is linked in the show notes as well. It will grip any phone solidly, so solid that I feel like I could just wiggle it around if you needed to. But it's lightweight, it's small, it's well made, and this is so smart. This is a tripod plate. It will fit in your standard Arca Swiss style adapters. So that's fantastic. And maybe saving the best for last, this review will be out very soon as well. This is that Zune Tech, I have no idea if I'm saying that right, Z1 Smooth C stabilizer for smartphones. We've tried bigger ones. I'm not going to say too much because a whole review is coming, but we shot with this a ton in Yosemite, and it works really well.
It's really nice.
And it lasted. Battery life too, fantastic.
It's fantastic.
So,
yeah.
That's my gear on the table that I'm happy with.
Yep. And for those of you who...
Did I tell everybody I got them a postcard?
You did
I
say that.
I got a postcard.
You did say that already.
Okay.
For those of you who are just tuning in, we have not made the big announcement yet, so just hang on to a little bit later in the show for that. And we're going to move on to news, because that's what's next.
All right, so CES was happening as we were frantically getting ready to go to Yosemite.
Yes.
I say frantically because figuring out every last little bit we want to bring to make sure we're capturing and having a good time and all that stuff. So, and big announcements at CES was, as far as in the photo world goes, we're not talking about that refrigerator with a giant screen on it because that's a different podcast. That's food mishmash.
So
that works for food
that is
too,
the
doesn't
thing,
it?
though. Oh wait, was that a thing that was announced at CES?
It has a huge screen.
For what?
And I think it has, I don't know.
Does it have Twitter on it?
It might have Twitter on it.
What else do you do on it?
You can order food.
Okay.
And I believe it has a camera. Now, here we can connect to photography. It has a camera inside the fridge, so when the door is shut, you can see the contents of your fridge on the screen. No more dad. You all remember, don't you have the dad who, like, you open the fridge and you're looking and he's like, electricity isn't free, shut the damn fridge.
He's talking about himself, actually.
Well, I got it from my dad.
Yeah.
So it's true. I mean, you don't want to stand there. You got to think about what you want out of the fridge beforehand. Anyway, we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is the Nikon D500. Now, the D5 was announced. That is Nikon's flagship camera. we don't have a lot to say about that camera other than it's fantastic. If you are a serious sports photographer, wedding too.
Can you talk about, is it a full frame or
It is. The D5 is a full frame. This is their flagship full frame camera. It's equivalent.
D5 or D500?
D5. I'm talking about the
okay.
D5, mentioning
Got
that
it.
first. It's a $6,500 camera without lens. It's equivalent to the 1DX or the 1DX2 that we have rumored coming from Canon. Fantastic, fantastic camera. Is it a good value? For some people. For a lot of other people, it's just a very expensive camera. Well, what I think is more appropriate for our audience to talk about is the D500. This is their flagship crop sensor thing. And right away, you know, when that gets out there, I saw some people say, oh, crop sensor, whatever, you know, full frame's where it's at. We've talked about that before on the show. My brief summary of my feelings is these sensors are fantastic, and it really depends on what you need. In some cases, that crop sensor performance is going to blow away a full frame, depending on what you need. If you want fast frame rate, you know, if you want that little bit of extra reach that the crop of a crop sensor gives you for wildlife photography, and most of the time when I say wildlife photography, well, no, let's just leave it at that. So, D500, a $1,900 camera that takes the D5's focusing system and crams it into a crop sensor. So that means you have this focusing system set up for full frame that's now on a crop sensor. It gives you awesome coverage all the way out to the edges of the frame. I wanted to title this show 99 Focus Points, but you wouldn't let me.
I shut it down.
She shut it down.
So,
Yeah, ask me some questions.
well, tell me more about this camera.
Okay.
Why
Well,
is it so amazing?
Let's go back a minute, because what we do here, I don't want to say we're Canon biased in a bad way, but we know Canon best because that's what we shot with for many, many, many years. And we know the 7D Mark II very well. We shot with that a bunch, took it on another MKII trip where we had wolves running straight at us, firing. And the 7D Mark II was a great camera. But let's tell a story. Let's take it back. How's that timer doing? Let's take it back a little bit further and talk about the 7D. Canon 7D. That was a beast of the camera at the time. It was rugged, it had a good focusing system, it was excellently weather sealed, you know, because you dumped a bunch of water on yours,
yeah.
and it still worked afterwards.
Yep.
And it was not replaced for a long period of time. It did, however, get a very nice firmware update. But then finally Canon said, here's the 7D Mark II. And it was a nice improvement. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was a nice improvement. Faster focusing, either more focus points, nice buffer, 10 frames per second. And again, very rugged. Lens Rentals actually, you know, as they do, they take things apart. They said it was the most weather sealed camera they had ever seen. But there were some people unhappy because it didn't have Wi-Fi in it. It didn't have a touch screen. So 70D users who are kind of looking for a 70D Mark II kind of felt left out. And again, it's a nice camera, but it wasn't quite groundbreaking. So let's see, what else did I want to say about that? No Wi-Fi either. And you know, an improvement in image quality over the 7D, of course, but over the 70D, that's about the same in real world use. Nikon photographers were fairly jealous though, because they didn't really have anything at that level at that time, because the D300, which was their last flagship crop sensor camera, that was released in 2007. And they were like, where's our D400? Where's our D400? Well, finally, they have the D500. So I mentioned the focus points, 153 focus points, 99 of those cross-type. The 7D Mark II has just 65. They're both 20 megapixel sensors, 7D and the D500, 7D Mark II. But we know Nikon's been ahead with their sensor technology.
Yes.
We don't actually know who makes this sensor yet. At least I haven't seen anybody say it.
But we've
Could be
heard that's
Nikon,
Sony.
Could be Sony.
Yeah.
But I feel comfortable in saying that it's going to be a noticeable improvement in low light over the 7D Mark II. And in some ways, we would expect that. The 7D Mark II has now been out for 15 months. And so when the D500 comes out, the 7D Mark II will be a year and a half old. So in a lot of ways, this comparison is kind of unfair, but it's the comparison that grabs people's attention because they're like flagship crop versus flagship crop. Well, one happens to be about a year and a half old. And remember, this doesn't make the other camera bad, but the D500 certainly is better. What else is important? 4K. Now, there was a lot of confusion early on when this camera was first announced. People were saying 4K for just 3 minutes. That turns out to be the D5. Apparently, internally is limited to 4K recording for just 3 minutes. That's a pretty short period of time.
Very short period of time.
The D500, however, looks like it can record a full 29 minutes.
Oh, that's
internally.
Not bad. Without overheating?
I would expect Nikon to put out a camera that doesn't overheat.
Plus, the Sony only overheats. I'm making a reference to the Sony. The
Right.
Sony overheats only when it goes past. Well, not only, but in some instances, usually when it goes past 30 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. It's so if it's
well, no. It's been sorry, I got distracted by the chat room. It has overheated on us and on other people prior to that 30-minute
really?
limit. Yes,
Okay.
and plus it also is limited at the 29. And you can avoid all of that by recording externally. So, let's see. But it also gives you an articulating touchscreen, a touchscreen in a pro-level body. The D5 has a touchscreen as well. That looks to be limited to just playback functions, swiping through images, pinch to zoom, I believe. But the D500's touchscreen, and people were reporting otherwise, but I believe they're wrong, is a fully functional touchscreen. You can focus points. You can select focus points, you can navigate the menu, and you can do playback.
You know, I appreciate the focus points in certain occasions, but I don't feel like I really care about, I mean, I think it's a cool feature, but I don't care about it so much myself. I think what I really care about is the articulating screen. I used to be very anti, it's like pros don't need that, but actually it is really helpful when you need to get a shot from down low or up really high, or you know, to be able to kind of see what's still going on without having to like cram yourself into a corner. So that's really nice. I appreciate that.
It is nice. And same thing about touchscreens, I think. I don't think you've spent enough time with cameras with touchscreens. The more time you spend with them, the nicer it is. You don't have to use it, but it is nice to add those different functionalities. I don't see anything in there about it being a smart touchscreen, is what they call the D5500. That's where when the touchscreen is off and the camera's up to your eye, you can swipe your finger. It basically becomes a trackpad and makes changes to things. I don't see anything about that in the D500. But I mean, we could just keep going down the list, comparing it to the 7D Mark II, but really it beats it in all areas. The one thing that the 7D Mark II does offer is GPS.
I just saw a good comment pop up. So Cooper Spalding, he says, I just don't see a videographer getting the D500 for only video use. And I think that's a very valid point. So tell me who would, because it's a photography camera. It's designed for photography. It's not designed for 4K. Like, it's not...
Well, okay, I mean, I can understand some of what you're saying there, but
well, so tell me...
so is the Sony. I mean, the Sony is... What makes the Sony any different? What makes... I mean, until we get into a totally different form factor like the C100 or the C500.
Can you shoot S-Log with this camera?
They do not have S-Log, but they do have a flat picture profile that is more S-Log-like. It's not quite at that level. S-Log isn't the be-all, end-all. I mean, we've shot...
No, but having those features sort of sets the Sony apart from all these other cameras as more of a video camera than a photography camera.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a nice option to have. Again, one of the things that helped me start this channel was the fact that I had a 5D Mark III for wedding photography with you that also happened to shoot nice video. So that, I mean, you know, having that ability in a camera.
Right, but if
good.
somebody's shopping around for a video camera, a videographer, a full-time videographer, they're not going to go for that camera. So then why include 4K on a camera that's really made mostly for photographers?
Because it's where we are. And it's the same reason, I mean, okay, you can go back and make that announcement from a little while ago of why did they put 1080 in the 5D Mark III?
Okay, but that was the beginning of... And now there are loads of different options.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
So it's not revolutionary. It's simply a feature that many other cameras have. Many other really excellent cameras that have better features that are more targeted to video shooters have. So
yep. I don't know. I see value in this camera at $2,000 for body only. Using a Nikon has a huge lens selection, so you don't need to mess with any adapters. 4K. At $2,000 on a sensor that looks like it's going to be a decent sensor in low light. Not as good as a full frame sensor, especially for shooting video, but still excellent. Then I think it's nice to have that option. Yeah, I think you started asking the question, what would I recommend if somebody said, I want 4K right now? GH4.
Yeah, absolutely.
The value of
Hands
that
down.
camera is fantastic, but it is even of a bit smaller sensor, and then, but it is a fantastic camera.
Yeah.
I love that GH4.
A lot of people are saying on the chat that it's sort of become the new standard.
Yes.
So,
yep. The last thing I want to
which
say
is a
about the
good point.
D500, though, that I love, is they have borrowed, they call it something different, but it basically is the same Wi-Fi Bluetooth connectivity that we saw on the Samsung NX1. I love that. Remember when we went out cross-country skiing with Carolina? I had the NX1 with me, and I was taking tons of pictures, and I had it connected to my phone over that low-power Bluetooth. It was sending the thumbnails over automatically as we were shooting.
Nice.
Pull out the phone, say, I want that one, that one, that one. The big one came over, and then I had it. That's
I
slick.
miss that NX1.
I know. We all miss the NX1. Let's have a moment of silence for that whole NX line because it seems to be completely dead. Samsung had nothing camera-wise, unless you count the fridge cam, at CES.
Ouch.
So it seems like they're done. Sure, they could come back and say, oh, no, here we are. You just had to wait a little bit. But anyway, so, and I feel like Nikon looked at all the complaints about the 7D Mark II. I mean, why didn't the 7D Mark II have Wi-Fi? Does that make it take better pictures? No, but that makes it a more enjoyable camera to use in many circumstances. And, you know, Canon was like, well, we couldn't put it in here because it was too magnesium alloy-ish. And Nikon's like, here you go. This is a rugged camera. I don't believe it has the complete magnesium alloy cage like the 7D Mark II does, but it still is extremely rugged.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to give you the wrap-up signal because we've been talking
about
this
this for a while, but this is big. I think I'm going to record a separate video that goes through these points more. A lot of people are interested in my opinion on this camera, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah. All right, so next on news is something that I particularly was interested in, and that is Zeiss has partnered up with Fellows, which is, I found out, a brand, some kind of equipment manufacturing brand, and they are going to release a series of lenses and adapters for phones. And I am not sure, I don't think that they're exclusively for iPhone. I think they're more flexible. You can use them on other phones. I'm very excited about this. I've been checking out the Moment lenses, and if you watched our Christmas gift guide last year, it doesn't feel that long ago, you probably saw us recommend the Moment lenses, and this is just that, you know, slightly different, but it's Zeiss. So I've been trying to get my hand on some of those Moment lenses, but they're all sold out. So we've kind of been struggling with that, but I'm really looking forward to checking these out sometime in the near future. I'm very excited about them. Yeah.
They look nice, and you know, again,
they're
small
big
and portable.
glass.
You know, we talked about this, but you already have your phone with you, and if the lenses are even smaller,
you know, even in Yosemite, all of the photos that I took or that I've shared so far were taken with my phone, and to me, I can't really tell the difference.
Yes, on the Instagram and on Facebook you can. But also that's a little unfair because your iPhone is connected and you were shooting with the 5D Mark III for your
I was, but
camera.
So far I haven't loved those pictures. I mean, I haven't
Have you even imported?
Yeah, I've imported some of them.
Okay, so.
I'm just saying that, you know, the best camera that you have is, or the best camera is a camera that you have with you for sure. And you know, I just really appreciate being able to just shoot on my phone and not have to think about shooting on any other camera.
The interface is lovely. I mean, that's where I think the strength of these mobiles. The interface is just so easy. That touchscreen works really well for that type of shooting. You wouldn't go shoot a wedding.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
But you know, to your argument about, oh yeah, you know, you've just shared those on Instagram. What percentage of photos that we take just end up on Instagram? Just end up on Facebook, just end up on our computer.
99.6.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So, anyway.
Liam agrees with his tail wag.
Yeah, that was...
Okay. Yep.
So, next we wanted to share a photographer's work with you that we thought was really cool. So if we can share Toby's screen really quickly.
So this
Stephen Wilkes, tell us more about him.
He has been doing these day to night series. He's got a whole gallery show opening up sometime very soon, I read. This is fantastic. So in this one, and a little tease, this might have a tie-in with a maybe a big announcement coming in a little while.
Stop it.
He spent something like 26 hours, maybe it was just 22, it's a long time, at this African watering hole capturing the scene. And then he goes back to the computer, and I think, I should have actually pulled up the Petapixel article. The Petapixel article is the one that's linked in the show notes, so if you want to know more, other than me making stuff up, something like 1,500 images came out of his 22 or 26 hours, his long time of sitting in this blind here photographing, and then he photoshops them all together. And so you can see we've got this night, what was happening, and the different animals that are in there at the night, and then during the day. And so as far as I believe, he hasn't manipulated any of these animals in a place that they weren't otherwise. This is just kind of a layer upon layer upon layer of image and showing the different animals that were there, plus the stars in the sky and the sun. And it's just, it's just a beautiful image.
Yep.
It's very pretty. And he also has one too, I thought what's it, California one is this one? I thought this was nope. All right, somewhere in here he's got one of Yosemite as well. But you should go check out his work because it's fantastic and he's done a nice job.
Yep.
All right.
So what's next?
Oh, next. Well, we should mention that, as I did at the beginning, the Canadian traffic camera turns out to be pretty good wildlife photographer. So it's just, here's this, traffic camera that's sitting up on a tall pole somewhere, keeping an eye on the road, making sure there's no accidents, telling people what the current conditions look like. And a snowy owl came to check it out, and it happens to just be captured from almost tip to tip. I mean, if I could critique this a little bit, traffic camera, I'd say you should have left a little bit more room so that other wing isn't cropped.
Yeah, that just
but
takes the image down a couple notches for me. I don't know.
Otherwise, it's absolutely fantastic. And I wonder how this traffic camera works. Does it, you think, take a picture every X number of seconds, and it just got super lucky? Or is it constant video stream and this is a frame they pulled out? Does it tell us?
I think it's probably a video stream or like a time-lapse-y type
deal. Oh yeah, so like maybe 1 frame a second or something is what it shoots at. And so we can actually get this little animation here of it running.
That's cool.
Pretty cool. We're just going to see more and more of these things as we have this more and more connected stuff. I mean, pretty soon people are going to be able to watch mold grow on the inside of their fridge because they're going to have that Samsung connected fridge, and people are going to be sharing it, but it's not going to be as exciting as a snowy owl.
Yeah.
Riveting.
All right, now we have some quick bits of rumors to get through. We're already past the time on our
so Scott sent these in from Canon Rumors. We've got a rumor that there's going to be a 4-capture feature coming for frame grabs. Hey, GH4 already offers this. I can go around and shoot in 4K, and then I can pull out individual frames. Those of you who've been following a while know I even made prints of those to see how they work. They were decent. So that is rumored to be coming in some firmware updates for some Canon cameras. It doesn't mean the camera will be shooting 4K video. It means that it will be shooting this kind of burst that is 4K that you can then capture frames out of. So, I mean, it would allow you to get 30 frames per second and get an 8-megapixel still out of it. We've got the claim that the 1DX Mark II, which we should hear about within the next month, will have 15 stops of dynamic range. This is from Canon, so that's where they've, haven't really stood up to the competition as much. That's also what they claim for the, is it the C100 or the C300? One of those cinema cameras, and in real-world testings, it's not quite there. So, yeah. And the 1DX Mark II will probably be a 22-megapixel camera. That sounds about right. That's what that D5 is. That's what the D500 is. That's a sweet spot. That's plenty big enough, but small enough that you can have those awesome buffers on those cameras, things like that. Let's see. Anything else to mention that is really cool? We've got a couple other stories. You should check them out at photorec.tv, including the Activision launches a solar camera, action camera that's powered by the sun. Vogue magazine claims you don't need to be a professional wedding photographer. We probably should have talked about that one a little bit. But you should go read it. Let us know what it says. And rumors from a couple different countries that the SL1 is now discontinued. Canon's little SL1. We've been waiting forever for the SL2. When is it coming? Which reminds me, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything about that. I tweeted already. I won't say anything more right now.
No. Let's move on. So we didn't have an Instagram challenge for the last couple of weeks, but we did ask you guys to submit photos that you wanted us to critique. So we're going to show that feed of all the photos that were submitted, and we're just going to pick a couple to critique, because we of course wish we could critique all of them, but we don't have time. So let's get started.
Let's get started. Well, a lot of fantastic images
Let's each pick 2.
submitted. Let's each pick 2. Okay, I think you picked one already right here.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this one from Ain't She Sweet?
I love the light in this photo. It's just so moody, and I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of, I can feel like I'm in there, in that photo, which is something that I've talked about before, and that it's really difficult to capture. So, yeah, I don't know why, but that was, you know, it had a lot of impact for me. As soon as we scrolled by it, I was like, ooh, that one. So I really like it. I liked it. I like the toning as well, the color. It's a little bit bluer, so the white balance is actually a little bit off, which isn't a bad thing because it just contributes to the overall mood of the photo. So I appreciate that. And I think that the face is really nicely balanced by that blackness on the right side of the screen, which normally could be considered to be really distracting, but it's actually quite nice. So
it's a lovely image, very nice, ain't she sweet? This one from Christine Reinhardt here. First off, I love these birds. These are those black skimmers.
They're so
They
cool.
fish by swimming flying right above the edge of the water with their beaks skimming through the water, and when it grabs something, they snap it shut. I just love the choice of focal length here, really kind of focal length and aperture, where we can clearly see that we've got a huge flock of some type of seagull in the background, but that this skimmer stands out from them in the foreground. Nicely balanced, nice shot. I thought this was great.
where are
and I
the
really enjoyed
eyes?
it. The eyes, I know, isn't it interesting? The eye is a black eye right here
how
inside the top
sneaky.
of the bird.
It's a cool bird.
Yep. These birds, I've seen them in Chincoteague, Virginia before, and I really like them. I wanted to critique Aiden's here.
Oh, cool.
You know, the way we just talked about these, I almost feel like we were picking winners, but we just wanted to critique those. We like them. I like, you know, Aiden, this is a great picture. I think this is a lot of fun. For those who might be having trouble seeing this, I don't believe is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are 6 kids?
6 Aidens.
Sextuplets? 6 septuplets?
Yes, something.
I don't
like
believe Aiden is a member of a septuplet family. I believe Aiden photoshopped
that.
himself.
Just made him sound like he's a member of a cult or something.
I believe he photoshopped himself over and over again. And I've seen similar ones to this, and I've actually even done 3. What's that? What's 3? Triplets. But the one thing
Learning
I'd
a
like
lot
to say,
today,
a couple
guys.
things is, if you're going to take the time to do this, one, it feels a little crooked, and the white balance feels a little off. So take the time to really kind of line that up and tweak that white balance in the original shots.
Yeah.
And then put them together.
I concur about the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree about the light. I guess it could be a tiny bit brighter,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it feels very real.
Yep. Okay.
So I think that there's a place for, you know, lighting like this. You know, like this is typically a pretty, you know, that the photo itself is mundane, but like, you know, looking at your phone, just like drinking a Coke or like whatever, are typically like everyday things that we do that are pretty mundane that nobody really thinks to highlight. So I think that the overall, you know, sort of simple nature of the photo really adds to that.
Yep.
So
It's a lot of fun. And you could even pretend that you're talking to yourself. You got 2 different phones there. It looks like you got a home phone and your cell phone, smartphone. You got a lot of stuffed animals too. And you got some trophies. I wonder what those trophies are for. All right. And then, I mean, some really nice images.
yeah, just
this
spectacular.
This is a Chesapeake Bay Bridge, I believe.
Right,
Chesapeake
on the
Bay.
top right. Yeah, it's
right here
really
on the top
cool.
right. Just a nice sense of action with just enough to tell us what's going on in that image. All of these are very good.
Yeah, look at that. Look at those stars.
I
Those are
know.
just-
Well, on Bigger, this is art only. I follow him, and he posts a lot of beautiful images from the Rocky Mountain area.
it's incredible.
Though the stars feel a little soft to me. You know, they are dots at this resolution, so they're not streaks. But that was one thing I noticed that took this image down just a tiny bit for
Really?
me. But the overall scene, I think, is fantastic.
I don't know. I think
Don't
you
they
could
look a
still
little soft over
print
here?
that and frame it really huge, and nobody
Okay.
would tell the difference.
That looks like it could be, what's that place in
Oh, the
Rome?
Duomo.
I was going to say the Parthenon. Or the Pantheon. The Pantheon in Rome. Let's click it and see. Pantheon in Rome. Thank you, Jeff, for nicely. Very nice. Is it my issue or is it the computer's issue? Let's hide my dock for a minute and bring this down. That it isn't perfectly, yeah, okay, so that was my fault. Perfectly symmetrical, nice light, nice exposure.
That's cool.
Wonder how much work you had to do to get both the interior and the sky nicely exposed in this, but I think you did a nice job there.
Yeah, these
I don't know what's happening in that. Is that bird?
He's just walking. He's just walking about.
What is that? That's an octopus tentacle.
Oh, geez. Oh, I didn't even notice that. I thought that was a leg. Wow, that's cool.
Yep.
All right, scroll down some more.
Okay. I really like this shot. I think we both have a bias towards kind of your brighter high key images, and this is really nice. But at the same time, this gray tone is too.
The dust on this image in the center right there.
Yeah, I noticed this image too when it's coming.
Pico, we pick a lot of your pictures.
I think we do. You
do.
have a style that we like.
Yeah.
I love the placement of the person right on the third marker. If you can imagine a tic-tac-toe grid over top of this image, that line, the right-hand third, is right on her.
Yeah.
And the dust trailing into the frame, really nicely done.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a couple more and then we're going to move on.
Great tones in that one.
Yeah.
Nice and crisp black and white there. I like that.
Yes. I love that bird one.
This one.
That was, no.
Oh, this one.
That one. Yes.
I'll just real quick, Digital Dandy. I'll real quick say you've done a much nicer job than the traffic camera, so good job for that. All right, and Digital Dandies.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Look at the snow and then the bird just in flight. And it's a little bit soft, but I don't care because it's just still such a nice capture, and I love the overall tones.
Would you take time to try to get that stick out of there?
No.
Because I love how the bird is framed in the Y of this branch, but we just have that one stick.
No, I don't. I mean, if I was entering into a competition, maybe, but...
Well, if there was a competition where photo manipulation was allowed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic tones in this one, too.
Yeah,
as well.
that one's great.
And
all of these are really, really great, guys. Way to send your best pictures in for critique. That really helps us.
You guys have done a nice job. Aw, Key Cat.
Yeah.
This is great. Love this really low perspective. We talk about one of the ways to make images stronger. It's to offer a perspective that you wouldn't normally see. Typically, you got shots of boats from like a dock or the shore, but this looks like it was a diver who was right in the water, and it offers a nice perspective that grabs my attention. I like this one too because we love steel wool shots. Usually you see them out in some kind of remote or run-down place, but here we have one in front of a big current building. So we'll try to do this again, maybe pulling from some of these images, maybe pulling from new ones.
I love that one.
What do you love? People can't see.
That one.
This one.
Yeah.
Italian moped riders. I have some shots
picture like
similar like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes, they do seem fearless. All right, so you know what? I don't know if we have is the next challenge. In the hubbub of getting everything with the big announcement going, I don't know if we have the next big challenge. Somebody in the chat, do we have the next Instagram challenge? The first appropriate one that shows up that we haven't already do, we'll pick. Let's see what they come up with as we start to move on to what? The big announcement?
The big announcement. It's here, everyone.
We woke up the cat.
Liam's up. Okay. So, how do you want to do this?
Well,
we have kind of a video to roll, right?
We do have a video to roll that is this big announcement.
So the big announcement, as some of you may have already guessed, and many of you did.
Are you going to spoil it?
Well, should we just roll the video?
I think we should roll the video, but right before the video goes, I just want to say that thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to MKII Photography Academy. To be part of something this amazing and this big is awesome. Let's roll the video. My friend Dave here from MKII Photography Academy. And we've worked together before to bring you all awesome giveaways, but in 2016 we are kicking it off right with just an amazing photographic opportunity that those folks out there could win. Tell us a little more.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We have obviously teamed up with Thompson Safaris, which is who we have used in the past to work with for our Tanzania, Africa trips. And we are giving away a Tanzania photographic safari with all of us from PhotoRec TV and of us with MKII Photography Academy.
I mean, ultimate bucket list type of trip. Tanzania, Africa, photographic safari. Thompson is one of the world premier leaders in safaris. You think about classic safari, that's what you're getting. But there's more.
There's a lot more.
That's not all. I mean,
it's
we're covering airfare to the location, lodging. Is just awesome, along with a bunch of different partners, including Mindshift Gear throwing in their brand new First Light backpack. This is 16L, perfectly sized for travel and something like a safari. We've got the Spider holster kit, which we've both found to be the most comfortable way to carry your gear for extended periods of time. We've got, now some people might think about the safari and say, I might not have enough stuff.
Right.
So we've got Borrow Lenses. $300 gift card to rent all kinds of professional level gear, camera, lenses, whatever you feel like you need to take on a trip like this. You're gonna make amazing photos when you come back. You can use the $300 gift card from Adorama Pics to make a giant canvas or metallic prints. They got all kinds of awesome stuff. Trigger Trap is throwing in their mobile kit, perfect for capturing like a time lapse of an African sunrise. I hear we go out into the bush one morning and have some kind of beautiful breakfast or something. I think maybe we shouldn't say more than that.
Let them just.
And we have Photo Nerds who works closely with us, providing 10 hours off in Lightroom instruction so that you may take these photos and make them look their best. But that's not all. I mean, there's more. When you go on a trip like this, you need a serious lens to really capture some of the animals that you might see in detail. Some of those might be...
we're going to see a lot. We're going to see lions, we're going to see elephants, we're going to see zebras, we're going to see giraffes, we're going to see wildebeest. We're going to see wildebeest crossing the Masai Mara with the crocodile. So this lens, because you want to be a little bit of a distance from that, this lens is going to be awesome for that.
So the winner of this trip receives and keeps the Sigma 150-600. That's a fantastic lens. It's going to allow you to capture all of this in stunning detail. Everything you need to know to enter is at photorec.tv/giveaway. Look for the link right down below this video. Go enter, share it with your friends. Hope you win. I got my friend David.
Well, everyone, that was the big announcement. It sounds like for some of you, the stream may have been broken. For some of you watching live,
as Jason says, mega buffering.
Yeah, mega buffering. We apologize. There's nothing we can do on our end here. Everything is set up the way we normally do. We have been getting some reports from YouTube saying that the stream has been like kind of weird. So anyway, so the big announcement, you could win a safari to Tanzania with MKII Photography Academy and Thompson Safaris, all expenses paid. So that means your travel from anywhere in the world. That means your lodging, your food. You get.
And this isn't just lodging. This is Thompson Safari. These amazing tents with 4 poster beds inside. They move those around to stay close to the migration so you don't have to travel much each day. This is, I mean, other people have given away cameras and other exciting things, but gear comes and goes. A trip like this, literally no hyperbole needed, is something that is going to stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but that's not everything, everyone. Wait.
Okay.
So that's not all you get. You also get a 150-600 lens from Sigma. You get a Mindshift Gear backpack to carry all your stuff in. You get a $300 gift certificate from Borrow Lenses to rent any more gear that you could possibly want to bring to Africa with you or use at any other time, but we really recommend you to get stuff for Africa. And you get $300 gift certificate from Adorama Pics to make beautiful, gorgeous prints with from the pictures that you capture there.
Right.
You get photography instruction from MKII Photography Academy.
On the trip.
Yeah, you get to hang out with us because we'll be there. We're
That's
going to
right.
be there.
So to be a part of this is just amazing. You know, we'll roll this video again separately from this thing so you can watch. Well, on the page you need to go to. Are you ready to give them the link to the page?
Yeah, photorec.tv/giveaway. All the details you can enter. You can earn bonus entries by following all the sponsors. If you're not already subscribed, you can earn 2 bonus entries by subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Just take advantage of the bonus offers, we can say.
I would, yeah.
There are 2 videos on that giveaway page. One is the standalone version of what you just watched. The second is one that was shot by Nick, who works for the MKIIs. What I want you to think about while you watch that other video, and we included some footage, is he was sitting in the same Land Rovers you all be sitting in. He was sitting with this, he was shooting, actually, that was shot with a 5D Mark II, some with a 70-200, some with a 100-400. You could be sitting next to him seeing exactly that stuff that he captured video of. When I was watching that video again, I turned to Allie, I was sitting there with Allie, and I said, this is all Nick's stuff from these trips? And her answer was, yup, pretty amazing. This is bucket list trip of the lifetime. Tanzania, Africa, with one of the top-rated safari organizations in the world, with the MKIIs, with us. Let's go. Hope you win.
Yeah, I hope you win too. And if this stream is broken for you right now, I guess you can't really see this, but photorec.tv/giveaway. Good luck.
Okay. It says the health is good right now. We are getting warnings.
Yeah.
What do about that?
Sorry guys, it's totally YouTube's fault.
That leads me into, well, I mean, you could blame our bandwidth. We have good bandwidth. Most of the time is excellent and fast enough to support what we're asking of it right now, but, you know, things happen. This could lead into the...
Well, just a reminder that the whole video will be up on YouTube, you know, without any interruptions, as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
After this is done.
Yeah, I think they figure all that out too, yeah. So, another sponsor is you all, you wonderful people who have chosen to support us on Patreon. You can learn more about this at photorec.tv/support. But we've got all different levels of support, and the reason I'm talking about this is for a couple of different reasons, but one is your money goes directly into supporting this show, and it's made things like Riley possible, who can do a good job of switching, keep us less distracted and more focused on content that we can bring you. Also, audio upgrades. As you know, in the last couple of shows, the audio has been better, and that is because we've been able to upgrade that stuff. Truthfully, we haven't hit that milestone at which I said we were going to start bringing these things in. We are not far away from it, but we would like to be closer. And not only do you help us do that, but you earn things in return. At the $3 a month level, you get access to our Lightroom videos. These are fantastic videos where we have put all of our knowledge about Lightroom in there. Christina, who has edited, is it safe to say you've edited like 10,000 people pictures?
Well, I think probably more than that.
More than 10,000 people pictures. She takes her knowledge. Remember, we can't yet transport it directly into your brain. So for us, we've done it via video. And these are fantastic videos. We're very proud of them. $3 a month, you get access to all of them, along with the support group where you get to ask questions and say, hey, you know, I'm trying to figure out why this person's face is a little red, or what can I do to this landscape to really make it pop and punch? And those people that are in the group, including us, are fantastically helpful, really lovely people that will help you out. $5 a month, you get into the group where you can ask all kinds of questions. You got a gear question and you want an answer fairly quickly. That's the group. And then, of course, there are higher levels with even more perks available to you. So I would ask that you consider supporting. It's a small amount of money monthly to you, but it makes a big difference to us. Photorec.tv/support is where you could find out more. Thank you so much to those people who are already supporting us. It has made a serious difference. Okay?
Yep. Okay.
Photorec.tv/giveaway.
Yep.
That's where people need to go to enter and take advantage of those. So it may be, I don't know, I was trying to say, you know, the page might be a little slow as well, but...
No, it seems fine. Actually, I was just worried that it was broken, but it's not. I just had typed it incorrectly.
Photorec.tv/giveaway, because I just saw somebody else ask where they signed up. Next week's challenge. The first one I saw was Dalabor's primary colors. So,
Primary colors, guys. So what are the primary colors? Let's talk about that.
you have to remind me. Aren't they red, yellow, and green? Red, blue, yellow?
All the colors that you can't mix. You
Can't
can't you can't mix two colors to get that color.
Red,
So,
yellow, blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. Let's make that hashtag PRTV_primary colors.
And I think white and black also counts, right?
And we'll post that on Instagram as well. Remember, you can follow us on
Although-
Instagram.
You can mix lots of colors to get white and lots of colors. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Let's look for your primary colors. And we like to let you decide too, exactly how you want to approach these challenges sometimes. And some of these more open-ended ones, it's fun to see what you've come up with. Do you need to have all the primary colors in there? Do you need to just have one of them in there? I'll let you decide. We'll be picking the winners of those and showcasing them here on this show next week. And again, you can follow me on Instagram where I post those reminders. And you can also find out all of this information at photorec.tv/PRTV, because that's the beginning of the hashtag that we always use. That's why it's there. You can see past winners and past topics that we've done. And we'll bring back this crit as well. I like this from time to time.
Yeah, I did too.
And you are becoming a bit of an Instagram expert, I feel like. And
I am.
We should pick your brain about that at some point.
Maybe.
I know Roger was saying earlier today that he was very happy. He feel like he had a picture that hit a milestone for him, the number of likes, and it got shared by somebody else. As you're beginning, it can feel kind of like posting and you get like 6 people responding.
I know.
But one of the best ways to grow your Instagram following is to participate not only in ours, but in other ones as well, because then people are checking out what other people are doing, and if they like what you're doing, they'll follow you. So participate in something. We'd like it to be ours, but somebody at least. We got no pictures in space this week.
No, and we're like way...
We're not way over. We started late.
No, we're not.
Oh.
We're just on the Q&A now.
We're on the Q&A now.
Oh, did somebody ask for photos from space?
No, but I was saying,
Oh, okay.
I feel bad because
random.
I like to have it. So,
Okay, what's the next question?
well, we're now moving into that period of the show where we answer your questions live. If you haven't already posted them in the chat room, you should do so. And Roy has been nicely collecting them and posting them in our notes. If you are not live, enjoy these questions and answers. The first one is from Caroline Farrow, and it is about this time-lapse device, the Syrup Mini Genie. Can it be used to track the stars? That's funny. Somebody on the Yosemite trip, I think it was Randall, had the exact same question. Could you use it to track the stars? Well, right now, it only turns left and right. They are going to be releasing a bracket, and you could buy 2 of these hockey pucks to be able to do motion like this over time, which would give you that full range of motion that you would need to track stars, because stars aren't usually moving just left and right.
What kind of calculations would you have to do to be able to track them exactly? Or do you just mostly estimate?
That's right. I would not recommend this device to do that unless you like spending some serious nerd time doing some calculations.
What devices do people use for that? I never even thought of that.
Well, the telescopes, the fancy telescopes do it. It has a GPS, it knows where you are in the world, and then it knows, based on its location, it knows the speed of the movement of the stars through the sky.
Do the telescopes also have a built-in sensor where they capture footage of this?
Well, some do. Some do. Or what a lot of people do who are serious astrophotographers, they will buy attachment devices that allow them to attach a camera to the telescope. And there's a lot of picture stacking that happens and a lot of different things that happen. So the short answer is no. You could try to get it to do a decent job, and I think you probably would be able to in some situations. It's kind of a fun challenge. I kind of want to do it now. Basically, you would have to think about your focal length and words in relation to the stars. So somebody out there is pretty nerdy. Leave a comment of the speed of the movement. You can very carefully dial in the exact speed you want. Also, it has both time-lapse and video mode. The time-lapse mode, it will pause when it's taking a picture. So that will allow you, if you're doing a longer exposure, that will keep your picture from getting blurry. That other Movo MPT10 that I've used before does not have that function. It just turns. I've shot pictures as slow as 2 seconds, and when it's turning slowly, it doesn't really blur your work. But
All right.
So there you go, Caroline.
We're going to answer a couple more questions and then It's time
Roger
for
wants
the
to know why
after
the
show.
70 Mark II is so good in regards to low noise. Is the sensor different than the 70D? It is a better sensor. Not a huge difference, but it's better. So. Angela, Roy, is there a video about focus stacking? I like what Max has been doing lately, and I want to try it. I don't have a video about focus stacking, and I had done a very long, thorough, too long even, video about macro. For those who don't know, when you're doing macro photography, your depth of field is incredibly small. And what a lot of people do is they will take a series of pictures. It's kind of like the idea of a panorama. But instead of taking a series of pictures across to make your whole picture bigger, you're taking a series of pictures at different depths. And then you can stack them in Photoshop will let you do it. There's some specialized programs that will take the sharpest point from each picture and put them all together, so you artificially create a huge depth of field at a very high magnification. That's what focus stacking is. It's a lot of fun. I've only dabbled in it because I don't really do a lot of serious macro photography. What we should do is ask Max nicely if he'll write us up an article about it. Or somebody out there, I'm sure, has some good focus stacking articles. So,
Yeah.
that's focus stacking. Don't have more to say about it, then it's pretty cool. Maybe I'll get a video out soon.
In the D5 or D500, can we change the aperture while recording?
So typically Nikon cameras block you from changing aperture in some modes. I'm going to say that you can. I believe these will allow you to do that in manual mode. I believe even the D5500 and the D7200 allow you to do that. But it was the older cameras that was kind of annoying, a block in aperture. There are some quirks to Nikon, and this is where I feel like our Canon bias comes in, because we're very comfortable. If we'd always been shooting with Nikon, we'd be like, oh, that's just how they are, it's fine, we know how to work around it. But at the same time, live view in Canon is just a much nicer experience for several reasons. Downside to Nikon, but it's pretty minor. Aiden wants to know if we have any tips for reducing noise on photos.
Lightroom.
Shoot at higher ISOs.
Watch the video where
Right.
we tell you how to reduce the noise in your photos.
That's right. Now, some people might be who are really paying attention and not just reading the chat room say, wait a sec, he just said he wants to, or Aiden just asked how to reduce noise, and this guy just said raise your ISO. Raising your ISO makes pictures more noisy. What's wrong with this guy?
I don't know. I think they should go watch the video.
Go watch the video. It's about getting your exposure right more than your ISO most of the time.
Okay, last question, and we are moving on to the after show.
Last question, is the 35mm macro from Sony a good macro lens? What lens? Oh, it's that little f3.5 lens. I've never used it. I've used their 35 f2.8. I think it's a good lens. It's certainly one of your best values at that price if you want autofocus. If you don't care about autofocus, I have a review coming out of that Venus Optics. I was looking around for it, but it's not within reach. 60mm 2x macro. Manual focus only, manual aperture control, but they do have an E-mount, and it is a serious macro. But you gotta be willing to go full manual. If you want autofocus, the Sony's fine.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end, those of you who did. We're really excited about this giveaway.
Clearly.
I mean, it's unbelievable that we can help bring someone out there with us and share this experience with them. I hope it's you who wins.
Me?
You. Yeah, go to photorec.tv/giveaway to enter and read all the rules. Let us know if you have any questions. Actually, don't let us know if you have any questions, because all the questions should be answered by the website, including dates for the trip, which is going to be in August of this year. Details are on the website.
Right.
So go
I recently
check
read
it out.
an article that said one of the keys to happiness is having some fun travel to look forward to. So it's like, start planning your next vacation even if it's months away. What better thing to have to look forward to than a trip like this? All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Lumoid for sponsoring this. Go check them out at lumoid.com/photorectv. Thank you Patreon supporters and you wonderful folks that are in the chat room right now and the people that are in the support group for supporting this show. Learn more about that at photorec.tv/support.
And we'll see you next week at 6 p.m.
Now it's time for the after show. Getting the drone out.